Welcome to the Fox 12 preview show. In today's show, we will be going over and predicting and getting you ready for this exciting Week 2 matchup in the Fox 12 Western Division. The Auburn Tigers have traveled to Waco, Texas to face the Baylor Bears in what will be the last game in Week 2 of 4 of the Fox 12 Western Division. The Tigers are 0-1. Coming off of a stunning defeat to the Michigan Wolverines, where star quarterback Cam Newton was trying to find Terry Beasley in the end zone for the game-tying touchdown, only to find his pass be picked off by cornerback Ty Law. Star running back Bo Jackson had a tremendous Week 1 game, not only running the ball, but also in the return game, as Bo Jackson had 5 kick returns for 391 yards and 2 touchdowns, also running the ball for 141 yards on 8 carries for an average of 17.63 yards per carry, 2 first downs, 2 touchdowns, and 2 broken tackles, which earned him MVP honors, offensive MVP honors in this Week 1 loss. He also added a catch for 17 yards in the air. Let's see if we can continue this dominance in Week 2. On the other hand, the Baylor Bears are red hot, as they are 1-0, undefeated, and if they win this game, they'll be tied for first place with the Michigan Wolverines, and depending on how the point differential shakes out, they could end up being in first place in the Western Division. Baylor defeated the red-hot Texas A&M Aggies 22-10 last game in a shocking, convincing way, as all the games so far have been close in the Western Division, but this was the only blowout of the season. The big reason for their blowout was this man right here, star quarterback Robert Griffin III. Although he didn't do much in the air, he was 3 for 3 for 22 yards and 1 first down, which is a pretty good 161.6 QBR. He also added a 2-point conversion throw. It's what he did with his legs that really carried this Baylor offense. RG3 had 164 rushing yards on only 5 carries. That's an average of 32.8 yards per carry. He had 2 first downs, 2 touchdowns, 1 broken tackle, and he won offensive MVP for the game. If Robert Griffin III can continue this dominance on the ground and improve a little bit on the air, he very might well end up being the Fox 12 Player of the Year, and maybe might end up being a Heisman candidate for the GCMFL. This is Baylor's second home game in a row, and their last one. Until championship season, it depends. And on the other hand, Auburn Tigers, this is their second away game in a row and their last game away from home, as they'll finish their season with 2 home games. Now, let's go through some player-by-player analysis. We already talked about star quarterback Robert Griffin III for the Baylor Bears, but what about his companion in the backfield, running back number 34, Walter Abercrombie? Abercrombie didn't have to do much last game. In fact, he didn't really do anything at all. He had 1 carry for -7 yards. But look for him to take some pressure off of RG3 in their running game this week. Star receiver Kendall Wright had a pretty big game last week, as he was RG3's favorite target. He had 2 passes thrown to him and caught both of them for 20 yards, with an average of 10 yards per catch, a longest catch of 14 yards, and he had a first down. Look for him to be more utilized, though, as RG3 looks to not rely so heavily on his legs and can use his star wide receiver in ways that Michigan has been using Desmond Howard. The other wide receiver, number 26, Lawrence Elkins, wasn't even targeted last game, and he looks to step it up in this Week 2 matchup from his disappointing Week 1 game versus Texas A&M. And finally, the third receiver, Terrence Williams, did not have an impact on offense as he wasn't targeted once, but he is the kick returner and punt returner, and despite not being a star player, he brought a kickoff return back for a touchdown in the Week 1 matchup versus Texas A&M. He ended up having 2 kick returns for 149 yards, which is a 74.5 average, which is 4 yards less than Bo Jackson's amazing average, and had a touchdown. So silently, Terrence Williams is one of the best return men in the whole Fox 12 West Division without being a star player. He also had a punt return for 19 yards, which is pretty good. Big tight end number 80, Laquan McGowan, did a good job blocking last week, opening up holes for RG3, and he also added a surprise threat to the air as he caught the 2-point conversion pass from RG3, so his stat line ended up being 1 catch for 2 yards and a 2-point conversion. And now let's go through this Baylor offensive line that did an amazing job at opening up holes for RG3 to use his incredible speed to burst through for his big rushing day last week. At left tackle, number 72, Jason Smith. At left guard, number 55, Bill Glass. At center, number 55, J.D. Walton. At right guard, number 61, Mark Adikes. And at right tackle, number 64, James Ray Smith. This Baylor offense put up 22 points last week, which is pretty good. Look for them to put up more, as they also were up big early last week, and they didn't need to keep their foot on the gas, if you know what I'm saying. They kind of took it off and tried to milk some clock. But look for this Baylor offense to jump out to a lead quickly and then milk the game away with their amazing rushing attack. Now, let's take a look at the Auburn Tigers offense. We know what it was last week. Give the ball to Bo Jackson, give the ball to Bo Jackson, and then give the ball to Bo Jackson some more. Cam Newton, the other star quarterback in the star-studded backfield, not to mention this backfield has two Heisman winners, Bo Jackson and Cam Newton, had 0 rushing attempts. Not to mention, he only went 1 for 4 passing the ball for a measly 17 yards and threw the game-sealing pick. And what most people, I myself included, say was a total choke by him. He had a QBR of 10.7. That's unacceptable. Yes, we know Bo Jackson's amazing. We already went through his rushing stats, and they're just eye-popping, as well as his kick return stats. But we need Cam Newton to step it up, and we need Auburn to balance out their offense just a little less reliant on Bo Jackson for them to win, because one player cannot lead a team to victory. Unless your name is Deshaun Watson, of course. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, let's look at the other players in the Auburn offense. Tucker Frederickson, the fullback, did a good job of blocking. Nothing really else. He's just there to be a compliment in this Heisman backfield. Receiver Terry Beasley, targeted 3 times, had 0 catches. Wasn't his fault. All bad throws by Cam Newton. And the game-sealing interception was targeted for him as he was open. And if Cam Newton who threw a better ball, he could have had the game-tying touchdown. On the other hand, Carson Bailey, the other wide receiver for Auburn, also did not even have a target. He had no targets and no catches. The only one to catch the ball was Bo Jackson. Carson Bailey is also the punt returner, but he didn't have any chance to return any punts, as Michigan did not punt last game. Our tight end Walter Abercrombie also was a no-show in the passing game, but he did a good job of blocking for Bo Jackson. Now let's look at this Auburn offensive line that also did an absolutely amazing job last week blocking, setting up holes for Bo Jackson. But on the same hand, they were inconsistent. They had great moments, but they also had bad moments, as Bo Jackson was stopped behind the line of scrimmage a lot of times because he had nowhere to go because the offensive line just let Michigan defenders slip in. At left tackle, we have number 73, Marcus McNeil. At left guard, number 61, Zeke Smith. At center, number 33, Walter Gilbert. At right guard, number 67, Ed King. And at right tackle, number 77, Frank D'Agostino. All of these rosters are the greatest players of all time to play for that certain team, if you understand what I'm saying, for every team in the Fox 12. The all-time college rosters, like, for instance, Notre Dame has Paul Hornung and Brady Quinn, 2 different eras, but Brady Quinn's the best Notre Dame quarterback ever, in my opinion. And also, I take into consideration what they did in college, not the NFL. I know Joe Montana went to Notre Dame, and he was amazing in the NFL, but Brady Quinn was better than Joe Montana in Notre Dame, in my opinion. But that's what the rosters are comprised of, if anyone was wondering. Now let's take a look at the defenses for each of these teams. And now let's take a look at these Baylor Bear defense that only gave up 10 points to the extremely explosive Texas A&M offense in the Battle of Texas. These Bears, man, they don't get a lot of credit because everyone talks about RG3, but their defense did an amazing job last game. Let's go through their starting lineup and stats, if there's stats necessary. At left end, we have number 90, Roger Gorey, right there. At defensive tackle, we have number 77, Santana Dawson. At the other defensive tackle, we have number 63, Charles Benson. And at right end, we have number 54, Irvin Randall. At linebacker, we'll start with right linebacker. Number 41, we have Joe Pawelek. I feel like I botched that. Sorry about that. At left linebacker, we have number 38, James Francis. And at middle linebacker, we have star defender, number 63, Mike Singletary. with the little crop top jersey on. And yes, all these teams are hand painted. Everything is. When I do the Fox 12 East Division, I bought helmet decals for Florida and South Carolina because they're too hard to paint on, but besides that, everything's purely hand painted. Mike Singletary was the defensive MVP in this Week 1 matchup versus Texas A&M. He had 3 tackles, which is a lot in one game, in an electric football game in the Fox 12, where offense is extremely favored, and won the MVP because of that. Let's look at the cornerbacks. Number 1 cornerback, number 43, Gary Green. Gary Green had 2 tackles, which was actually extremely well for a cornerback. And the other cornerback is number 21, Robert Blackman. Blackman had 1.5 total tackles, as he had an assist and he also had a tackle for loss. Now let's look at the safeties. At strong safety number 26, Van McElroy. And at free safety, star defender number 27, Thomas Everett. Everett also had 1.5 total tackles, as he had an assist and a regular tackle. So the star players for defense are Mike Singletary and Thomas Everett, middle linebacker and free safety respectively. And on offense, it's quarterback Robert Griffin III and receiver Kendall Wright. Before we look at Auburn's defense, I just want to explain to you guys how my season goes. So there's 12 teams in the Fox 12, 6 in the West, 6 in the East. Each team plays 4 games. So for instance, every team in the West plays 4 games. So they won't play one team in their own division. And each team only plays team in their division. That means every team in the West can only play other teams in the West. Once those 4 games are done, we'll have the standings, right? And the East is going to play 6 games, and we'll have the standings there. The 5th week of the Fox 12 is going to be championship week. The number 1 team in the East is going to play the number 1 team in the West to see who will be first place in the Fox 12. The number 2 team in the East will play the number 2 team in the West in another bowl game. The number 3 team in the East will play the number 3 team in the West in another bowl game, and so on for all 6 teams. So there'll be a total of 6 bowl games with 1 championship. And hopefully the Fox 12 conference winner might be able to get into the GCMFL playoffs, where only 4 teams make it from all the other divisions. And you can check out all the GCMFL standings and such on miniaturefootball.org. I'll have a link in the description. And Manny Ray Dre is our commissioner of the whole entire league, and things have been going pretty smoothly. But I just wanted to make that clear just in case no one knew. Now we can go to the Auburn Tiger defense. That wasn't that good last week, in all honesty. Wasn't all that good. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Let's go through the lineups. At left end, we have number 95, Gerald Robinson. At defensive tackle, we have star player number 74, Tracy Rocker. Rocker had 1 tackle for loss, which was really good. I mean, he's a star player. We expect a little more, but that was a pretty good job. And the other star defender is defensive tackle number 90, Nick Fairley. Fairley had 3 tackles, which is really good. He would have won MVP if not for Ty Law's interception, but Fairley did a really good job last week. And at right end, we have number 54, Quentin Groves. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can get his arm sleeve in there. I'll get it in later in-game action. Let's see. Left linebacker, we have number 31, Freddie Smith. Middle linebacker, number 54, Mike Colon. And right linebacker, number 39, Kurt Crane. Cornerback, we have number 19, the second cornerback, Dave Beck. And the first cornerback is number 12, Corey Barlow. Strong safety, number 20, Brian Robinson. And free safety, number 27, Buddy McClinton. If you remember, Buddy McClinton had the touchdown-saving tackle on Desmond Howard at the end of the first half. So his stat line is 1 total tackle. The other defensive stats are kicker Russ Byron had a tackle on Desmond Howard on a kick return, and Cam Newton tackled Ty Law after he threw the interception. Game time is approaching, but let's quickly go through the special teams. For Baylor, the kick returner and punt returner is wide receiver number 2, Terrence Williams. And for Auburn, the kick returner, as we know, is Bo Jackson, punt returner Karsten Bailey. Baylor's punter is Daniel Sepulveda. And Auburn's punter is Terry Daniel. Terry Daniel punted last week, 35 yards, which is the TOC rules if you're on your own side of the 50 and he had a net of -7, which isn't too bad because we all know there's huge returns in the Fox 12 Western Division. And Daniel Sepulveda hasn't even been called on to punt yet. Basically, if you punt, you're pretty much done in this league because we know how high scoring it is because it's college football, baby. You know what I'm saying? Now let's look at the kickers. For Baylor, here's their playbook. Aaron Jones, extra point on a 20-sided die. He's perfect. And 1 to 19 are field goals. He's never attempted one in college, so I have no stats for that. So technically, he's not allowed to take those. And his farthest he can kick is 58 yards. Auburn's kicker, Wes Byram, who had a tackle last game on Desmond Howard. It's pretty fresh for a kicker. It's perfect for extra points, and the farthest he can go is 52 yards. If we look at the stats, Aaron Jones had 3 kickoffs, 1 touchback. Byram had 5 kickoffs and no touchback. Aaron Jones missed a 43-yard field goal. Wes Byram didn't even attempt a field goal. And Daniel Sepulveda also had a kickoff that was not a touchback because I remember last game Aaron Jones got hurt for a couple plays with a strained calf muscle or something like that. But kickoff, I rolled 20-sided die. If it's 16 to 20, then it's going to be a touchback. But we're just about ready to get this game started. Head coach for the Baylor Bears, Art Briles. I know he had some scandals at Baylor, but he was an offensive mastermind, especially when RG3 was under center. For Auburn, their head coach is Ralph Jordan, the granddaddy of the Auburn Tigers football program. Enough action. Let's see if Baylor can escape from being trapped in the 1-1 mediocrity that has happened to so many teams in the Fox 12 West. Let's see if they can stay atop with Michigan, and let's see if Auburn can climb back in it, as a loss will put them at 0-2, and if only 4 games on the season, if you're 0-2 like Oregon, your season's basically over. This game is very important for both teams, and it's going to be an exciting matchup between RG3 and Cam Newton, 2 Heisman-winning, prolific, dual-threat quarterbacks. And, I mean, Baylor, more of a running team. Both of them actually are more running teams, but Baylor is a little more of a passing team, even though they didn't use it that much last game because they have a star receiver. And on the Auburn side, 2 star defensive tackles. Baylor, star middle linebacker, star free safety. It's going to be a great game. Can't wait to see you guys. Let's get this baby started.